Focus on yourself. Stay silent. Watch how life changes. Look around you. The world is loud. Everyone is talking. Everyone is explaining. Everyone is announcing plans, dreams, intentions. Yet very few are winning. Why? Because power is not built in noise. Power is built in silence, focus, and disciplined action. The moment you decide to focus on yourself, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your energy stops leaking. Your mind becomes sharper. Your direction becomes clear. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. When you stay silent, you observe more. When you observe more, you understand more. When you understand more, you act better. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they scatter their energy, talking instead of building, complaining instead of improving, seeking validation instead of mastery. If you want life to change, stop announcing your goals, stop explaining your struggles, stop defending your decisions. Let silence protect your vision. Focus is the rarest currency in the modern world. Those who can hold it win. When you focus on yourself, you begin to notice your habits, your thoughts, your daily choices. And here is the truth. Your life is nothing more than the sum of what you repeatedly do in private, not what you post, not what you promise, not what you say. Success grows quietly, like roots beneath the ground, unseen but unstoppable. People who talk too much seek approval. People who work in silence build confidence. And confidence does not beg for attention. It commands respect when you stop reacting to opinions. When you stop explaining yourself to people who do not build your future, you reclaim your power. Focused individuals become dangerous in a good way. They are calm. They are consistent. They are disciplined. They don't argue. They don't compete loudly. They don't chase recognition. They prepare. And when the moment arrives, life has no choice but to respond. Remember this: the world does not reward intention. It rewards execution. Stay silent. Stay focused. Improve daily. Build privately. And one day, without announcement, without explanation, your results will introduce you. That is when life changes. Silence is power. Because when you stop speaking, you start becoming. In a world addicted to noise, the person who can remain silent immediately rises above the crowd. Everyone is talking, reacting, explaining, defending, announcing. Very few are thinking, even fewer are building. Silence is not emptiness, it is concentration. It is the space where clarity forms and strength grows. The moment you choose silence, you reclaim control over your energy, your focus, and your direction. Most people believe power is loud. They think confidence must be announced, success must be shown, and intentions must be declared. That belief keeps them weak. Real power does not argue. Real power does not explain itself. Real power moves quietly, precisely, and with purpose. When you stay silent, you observe. When you observe, you learn. When you learn, you make fewer mistakes, and that alone puts you ahead of the majority. Silence protects your vision. The more you speak about your plans, the more you dilute them. Words invite opinions, doubts, and unnecessary interference. Not everyone deserves access to your goals. Not everyone wants to see you win. Silence becomes a shield. It keeps your mind clean and your ambition intact. While others seek validation, the focused individual seeks progress. Focus is born in silence. A distracted mind cannot build anything meaningful. Every great transformation begins when attention is pulled inward. When you focus on yourself, your habits, your discipline, your daily actions, you stop wasting time on comparison. You stop reacting to noise. You stop living according to other people's expectations. Your life begins to move forward the moment you stop explaining yourself to those who are not going where you are headed. The loudest people often achieve the least. They talk about effort instead of applying it. They announce goals instead of committing to them. They argue instead of improving. Silence forces accountability. When no one is watching, no one is applauding, and no one is listening, only discipline remains. That is where character is built. That is where real confidence is formed. Silence also sharpens the mind. When you remove unnecessary words, thoughts become clearer. Decisions become stronger. You stop acting from emotion and start acting from intention. The silent person is not easily provoked, not easily distracted, not easily manipulated. Calm becomes a weapon. Patience becomes an advantage. While others rush, the silent one prepares. Life begins to change when you stop reacting to everything. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every insult deserves attention. Not every opportunity deserves your time. Silence teaches selection. It trains you to choose what truly matters. Energy is limited. Those who waste it on noise remain average. Those who conserve it and direct it with focus become exceptional. The strongest individuals do not chase recognition. They let results speak. The world does not remember who talked the most. It remembers who delivered. When you work in silence, you develop an inner certainty that does not depend on applause. You become grounded, unshakable. When success arrives, it is not fragile, because it was not built on attention. It was built on effort. Silence is where consistency is formed. Motivation comes and goes, but disciplined silence keeps you working when excitement fades. Repetition done quietly compounds faster than excitement expressed loudly. Day after day, small, focused actions create momentum. Over time, that momentum becomes force, and force, once built, is hard to stop. There is also freedom in silence. When you stop needing to be understood by everyone, you gain independence. You no longer carry the burden of proving yourself. You no longer seek permission to grow. You move at your own pace. You choose your own standards. You measure success by progress, not praise. Focused silence turns ordinary people into uncommon forces. They are not rushed. They are not chaotic. They are intentional. They understand that life responds to clarity, not noise, to consistency, not conversation, to results, not promises. If you want your life to change, reduce your words and increase your work. Let silence do the heavy lifting. Let focus become your habit. Let discipline replace distraction. Build quietly, improve daily, protect your energy. And one day, without warning, without announcement, without explanation, your life will look completely different. Not because you talked about change, but because you became it in silence. Focus is the new discipline. Because, in an age where everything competes for your attention, the ability to concentrate has become the ultimate advantage. Discipline used to mean waking up early, working long hours, and following rules. Today, discipline means something far more difficult: the ability to ignore distractions and commit your attention to one thing until it is done. Anyone can be busy. Very few can be focused. And that difference separates those who stay average from those who rise. The world is designed to break your focus. Endless notifications, opinions, comparisons, and noise pull the mind in every direction. Most people mistake movement for progress. They jump from idea to idea, goal to goal, without ever staying long enough to build anything meaningful. Focus demands stillness. It demands restraint. It demands the courage to say no to many things so you can say yes to what truly matters. When you focus, your energy stops leaking. Every distraction drains a small part of your strength. Every unnecessary reaction weakens your direction. Focus gathers that scattered energy and turns it into force. A focused hour of work is worth more than 10 distracted hours of effort. That is why those who master focus move faster, even when they appear calm and unhurried. Focus is not about doing more. It is about doing less, better. It is the ability to identify the one action that moves you forward and give it your full attention. This requires self-control. It requires discipline of thought. You must train your mind the same way you train your body, through repetition, resistance, and consistency. At first, focus feels uncomfortable. The mind wants escape. It wants entertainment. But strength is built by resisting what is easy and committing to what is necessary. The focused individual does not chase every opportunity. They choose a direction and commit. They understand that success is not created by scattered effort, but by sustained attention applied over time. Focus turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results because it allows depth, and depth, not speed, is what creates mastery. Most people fail not because they are incapable, but because they are inconsistent. They start strong and fade quickly. Focus solves this problem. When your attention is locked onto a clear purpose, excuses lose their power. Distractions become irrelevant. You stop negotiating with your impulses and start honoring your commitments. This is real discipline, not force, but alignment. Focus also brings clarity. When you concentrate on one path, confusion disappears, doubt fades. You no longer wonder what you should be doing next because your direction is clear. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence creates momentum. Momentum creates results. This chain reaction begins the moment you decide to focus. There is a cost to focus, and most people are unwilling to pay it. The cost is saying no. No to distractions, no to comfort, no to constant entertainment, no to people who do not respect your time or your goals. But the reward is control. Control over your progress, your growth, and your future. A focused life is a powerful life. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop consuming and start producing. You stop being influenced and start leading. Focus trains the mind to stay present, and presence is where peak performance lives. When you are fully present, your work improves, your decisions sharpen, and your confidence strengthens. Focus is also the foundation of self-respect. When you keep promises to yourself, you build trust with your own mind. Each completed task reinforces belief in your ability. That belief becomes unshakable over time. You no longer need external motivation because your discipline is internal. The world rewards focus, even if it does not celebrate it immediately. While others chase attention, the focused individual builds skill. While others seek approval, the focused individual develops value. And value always finds its place. If you want to change your life, do not look for more motivation. Look for more focus. Simplify your goals. Eliminate distractions. Commit fully. Work deeply. Repeat daily. Because in a distracted world, focus is no longer optional. It is the new discipline. Most people talk, few people build, and that single truth explains why so many remain stuck while only a small number move ahead. Talking is easy. It costs nothing. It creates the illusion of progress without demanding effort. Building is different. Building requires time, patience, focus, and the willingness to work without recognition. That is why the world is full of opinions, but short on results. Everyone has something to say, but very few have something to show. Words make people feel important. Action makes people effective. The problem is that words can replace action if you are not careful. When people talk about what they are going to do, the mind feels rewarded before the work begins. That false sense of accomplishment weakens urgency. Energy that should be invested in execution is wasted on conversation. Builders understand this, so they speak less and work more. Talking invites distraction. Opinions, arguments, and explanations pull attention away from progress. The more you talk, the more you open the door to doubt, both from others and from yourself. Builders close that door. They protect their focus. They know that not every idea needs an audience and not every plan needs approval. Silence keeps momentum intact. Most people confuse activity with achievement. They attend meetings, discuss ideas, debate possibilities, and analyze endlessly. At the end of the day, nothing tangible is created. Builders move differently. They choose a direction and begin. They make mistakes, adjust, and continue. Progress, even imperfect, always beats perfect plans that never leave the mind. Building is uncomfortable. It exposes weakness. It demands consistency long after motivation fades. Talking avoids this discomfort. It allows people to stay in their comfort zone while appearing engaged. Builders accept discomfort as the price of growth. They understand that mastery is earned in repetition, not discussion. There is also risk in building. When you create something real, it can be judged, it can fail, it can fall short. Talking carries no such risk. Opinions can be changed. Promises can be forgotten. Builders take responsibility for outcomes. They accept that failure is part of the process and that every attempt sharpens their skill. Builders are often underestimated. They do not announce their moves. They do not argue about potential. They let progress accumulate quietly. While others are busy being heard, builders are busy becoming capable. Over time, this difference becomes impossible to ignore. Results demand attention without asking for it. The world rewards builders because builders create value. They solve problems. They produce outcomes. They move things forward. Talkers consume energy. Builders generate it. This is why history remembers creators, not commentators. Contribution outlives conversation. Building also builds the individual. Discipline strengthens character. Consistency builds confidence. Focus develops clarity. Each completed task reinforces belief in one's ability to execute. Talkers remain dependent on external validation. Builders develop internal certainty. That certainty becomes their greatest asset. If you want to move from average to exceptional, reduce your words and increase your work. Let your effort be louder than your voice. Measure days by progress, not by discussion. Choose action over explanation. Choose execution over intention. At first, no one may notice. Builders often work in silence while others dominate attention. But time is loyal to those who build. With each step forward, momentum grows. Eventually, the gap becomes visible. The talk fades. The results remain. Most people will continue to talk. Few will choose the harder path of building. Decide which one you will be. Because in the end, life does not reward what you say, it rewards what you create. Energy is lost through explanation, and the moment you understand this, your life begins to regain power. Every time you explain yourself unnecessarily, you give away something valuable. Not time, not words, energy, focus, authority. The need to explain comes from seeking validation, approval, or understanding from people who are not responsible for your growth. Strong individuals do not waste energy convincing others. They conserve it, direct it, and use it to build. Explanation feels harmless, but it slowly weakens momentum. When you explain your plans, you invite opinions. Opinions create doubt. Doubt fractures focus. What began as a clear intention becomes scattered by outside noise. The more people you explain yourself to, the more directions your mind begins to pull. Progress slows, not because you lack ability, but because your energy is divided. Not everyone deserves access to your reasons. Not everyone needs to understand your path. Most people listen only to respond, judge, or compare. Explaining yourself to them does not move you forward. It anchors you to their perception. Energy that should fuel action gets trapped in conversation. The strongest moves are made quietly. When you stop explaining, you gain speed. Decisions become simpler. You act instead of defend. You build instead of justify. Silence creates space for execution. Explanation fills that space with noise. People who constantly explain are often trying to prove something. People who are certain do not feel that urge. Certainty does not argue, it acts. When you know where you are going, explanations become unnecessary. Results will speak louder and more clearly than any words ever could. Explanation also keeps you emotionally attached to outcomes. When you announce plans and explain intentions, you tie your identity to future results. If things change, you feel pressure to justify yourself again. This creates stress and hesitation. Silent effort removes that burden. You are free to adapt, adjust, and grow without public accountability to people who are not building your future. Energy is finite. Every conversation drains a little. Every justification costs focus. Every unnecessary response weakens resolve. High performers understand this instinctively. They choose their words carefully. They respond selectively. They do not engage in debates that do not improve their position or progress. When you stop explaining, you become less reactive. You no longer feel compelled to answer every question or defend every decision. This emotional distance strengthens clarity. You act based on purpose, not pressure. Life becomes quieter, and in that quiet, effectiveness increases. Explanation also delays action. The mind enjoys talking about effort more than performing it. Explaining creates the illusion of progress. You feel productive without producing anything. Builders avoid this trap. They know that effort should be invested where it compounds, into skill, execution, and consistency. People may misunderstand you when you stop explaining. Let them. Misunderstanding is temporary. Results are permanent. Trying to be understood by everyone is exhausting and impossible. Choosing progress over perception is liberating and powerful. There is a difference between communication and explanation. Communication is intentional and necessary. Explanation is often defensive and unnecessary. Learn to recognize the difference. Speak when it moves things forward. Stay silent when it preserves strength. When you reclaim the energy lost through explanation, you redirect it inward. Focus sharpens, discipline strengthens, confidence grows quietly. You begin to trust yourself more because you are no longer outsourcing validation. You measure success by progress, not approval. Over time, people notice the shift. You speak less, but when you do, your words carry weight. You move differently. Calm replaces urgency. Purpose replaces pressure. Others may not understand how you changed, but they will see the results. Life rewards those who conserve energy and apply it with precision. Stop explaining, start executing. Let action handle the conversations you no longer need to have, because energy spent building always returns multiplied. Energy spent explaining is simply gone. Your life changes when your habits change, because every outcome you see today is the direct result of the actions you repeat daily. Success, failure, wealth, health, relationships, all of it is built habit by habit. Nothing else determines the course of your life more consistently than what you do, not occasionally, but every single day. Habits are the invisible architecture of your reality, and once you understand that, you realize that transformation is not about luck or grand gestures. It is about consistent action. Most people dream of change but fail to achieve it because they focus on results instead of the process. They want a new life but continue with the same routines. They want progress but cling to comfort. They hope for transformation without addressing the small, repeated choices that silently determine their future. Your habits are the compound interest of life. Small actions repeated consistently build momentum. Neglect them, and stagnation becomes inevitable. Changing habits is not about motivation. Motivation comes and goes. But habits are the structures that survive when motivation fades. The most successful people are not those who wait for inspiration. They are those who show up every day and perform the actions that success demands, regardless of feelings. When you create disciplined habits, you remove reliance on fleeting emotions and place your destiny in your own hands. Your environment affects your habits, and your habits affect your results. If you want life to change, begin by reshaping the environment around you to support the actions you want to take. Remove distractions, eliminate temptations, and surround yourself with cues that encourage your best behavior. Habits are easier to sustain when the world aligns with them. Focus on creating systems that automate progress so you are not forced to rely on willpower alone. Willpower is limited. Systems are limitless. Self-awareness is crucial to habit change. You cannot improve what you do not examine. Observe your routines, track your actions, and notice patterns that hold you back. Awareness shines a light on unconscious behavior. Once you see it, you can intervene and redirect it. Change begins with noticing the small things: when you wake, what you eat, how you spend your time, how you think. These micro decisions accumulate into macro results. Habits shape identity. The person you are becoming is determined by what you repeatedly do. Act like the person you want to be, and over time your identity will catch up. The more aligned your actions are with your goals, the more your self-image reinforces the behaviors that create success. Conversely, neglect your habits, and your identity reinforces stagnation. This is why people can say they want change, yet continue living the same life. Their habits are betraying their intentions. Discipline is built in the small choices, the ones nobody sees. The hours spent learning, practicing, and improving in silence compound into skill and mastery. Habits create efficiency because actions become automatic. Once a beneficial routine is established, it no longer requires effort to maintain. Energy is freed for creativity, strategy, and higher-level execution. Those who master their habits work less to achieve more. Breaking old habits requires patience and persistence. Change does not happen overnight. It happens the same way wealth and skill accumulate, through repeated action, refinement, and persistence. Every day is an opportunity to strengthen habits that move you forward or weaken habits that hold you back. Consistency, not intensity, is the true lever of transformation. Your social circle affects your habits, and your habits affect your results. Surround yourself with people who embody the behaviors and standards you wish to adopt. Influence is stronger than willpower. Habits are contagious. If you spend time with builders, creators, and disciplined individuals, you will unconsciously adopt their routines and mindsets. If you remain among those who excuse, complain, or procrastinate, your own habits will erode. Change your associations, and your habits follow. The power of habit is most evident in moments when you feel tired, distracted, or unmotivated. These are the moments when habits, not decisions, determine action. The strong habits carry you forward even when your mind wants to quit. This is why life-changing transformation is rarely dramatic. It is subtle, almost invisible at first, until one day you look back and see that everything has shifted. The choices you repeated in silence have become the foundation of a completely new reality. If you truly desire transformation, start with habits, not outcomes. Focus on what you do daily, not on what you wish would happen. Make the small decisions that align with your future self. Show up when it is hard. Repeat actions when it is inconvenient. Over time, the accumulation of these small, disciplined choices will rewrite your life. Results are not magic. They are the natural consequence of changed behavior. Your life changes when your habits change, because habits are the engine of destiny. They determine your energy, your focus, your skill, your relationships, and your outcomes. Alter the habits, and everything else shifts. Ignore them, and you remain at the mercy of circumstance. The moment you take control of your habits, you take control of your life. Consistency becomes your ally, and change becomes inevitable. Your life will never change without deliberate action. Begin with one habit, one choice, one action today, and the future you desire will follow. Every day is another brick laid in the foundation of who you are becoming. Habits are not small, they are everything. Approval is a distraction, and the moment you realize this, you begin to reclaim your life and your power. Most people live for the nods, the likes, the compliments, and the recognition of others, believing that their value depends on external validation. This is the trap. Approval shifts your focus from creating to performing. It makes every decision about how you will be perceived rather than how you will progress. Those who chase approval are trapped in the opinions of people who are not responsible for their future, and that energy is stolen from the work that actually matters. Seeking approval is exhausting. Every action is filtered through the question, will they like me? Will they respect me? Will they approve? Choices that should be clear and strategic become weighed down with unnecessary judgment. Time that should be spent building skill, solving problems, or producing results is wasted managing perception. Approval is a leash, and the mind that seeks it is tethered to everyone else's expectations. Freedom is lost when your decisions depend on consensus rather than clarity of purpose. Approval is also misleading. People who offer praise often have their own agendas. Compliments are temporary. Recognition is fleeting. The same people who celebrate your small victories are often the first to doubt or criticize when progress challenges their comfort. If you make your actions dependent on approval, your growth becomes inconsistent, fragile, and reactive. Builders, creators, and leaders understand that real strength comes from internal conviction, not external applause. The problem with seeking approval is that it compromises your authenticity. You begin to act in ways that are not natural to your goals or values, simply to gain acceptance. You dilute your vision, lower your standards, and allow your choices to be influenced by fear of judgment. Approval may feel like motivation, but it is hollow. True motivation comes from purpose, from self-respect, from the desire to move forward regardless of who notices or who applauds. Those who rise above the need for approval have a different rhythm. They measure success by progress, by skill, by execution. They understand that respect and recognition are consequences, not prerequisites. You do not need permission to pursue excellence. The world does not dictate your worth, your actions do. When you focus on results rather than reactions, you reclaim hours, energy, and mental space that were previously wasted worrying about acceptance. Approval also slows decision-making. When every choice is filtered through potential judgment, hesitation becomes the default. The mind becomes overloaded with imagined criticism. Opportunities are missed because of fear of disapproval. Builders move differently. They act decisively, and they accept that misunderstanding, skepticism, and even resistance are part of the process. Waiting for approval is a guarantee of stagnation. Distraction is subtle but relentless. Approval pulls attention away from the tasks that matter most. While you are busy explaining, justifying, and performing for others, the quiet work of mastery is left undone. Energy that should be spent creating value, improving skill, or executing plans is drained by the need to be liked. High achievers do the opposite. They conserve energy, focus on impact, and let results handle the conversation. Recognition is no longer the goal, it becomes an inevitable byproduct. Independence from approval creates freedom. When your choices are guided by purpose instead of perception, you make bolder decisions. You take calculated risks. You pursue opportunities that others avoid because they fear judgment. This freedom allows your actions to align fully with your potential. You no longer adjust your path for the comfort of observers. You move straight toward your objective, no detours required. Approval is also a test of patience. Those who rely on it often expect immediate feedback, praise, or recognition. Builders understand that progress accumulates quietly. The work done in silence compounds into results over time. You do not need everyone to understand or appreciate your effort at every step. Mastery and achievement are revealed gradually, and those who seek constant approval are rarely willing to wait. Finally, approval is a form of distraction because it removes accountability from yourself. When you are focused on others' opinions, you externalize control. You are no longer accountable to your own standards. You are accountable to public perception. The moment you stop seeking approval, you reclaim responsibility for your outcomes. You act with integrity, consistency, and alignment with your true goals. This is where real power lives. If you want to transform your life, stop chasing approval. Stop letting the opinions of others dictate your pace, your choices, or your focus. Work quietly, consistently, and with purpose. Let your results speak, let your discipline show, and let your progress be undeniable. The more you detach from the need to be liked or accepted, the sharper your focus becomes, the stronger your confidence grows, and the faster your life moves forward. Approval is a distraction. Energy spent chasing it is energy wasted. Freedom, clarity, mastery, and impact come not from validation, but from conviction. Stop explaining. Stop performing for others. Stop bending to expectations that do not serve your vision. Focus on yourself. Build, execute, dominate in silence, and life will respond. Not because anyone approved of you, but because you became unstoppable. Inner control creates outer success, and the moment you understand this, you realize that everything you see in the world, wealth, influence, relationships, achievement, is a reflection of what you have mastered inside. True power begins in the mind, in the ability to govern your thoughts, emotions, and impulses. Without this control, no amount of strategy, opportunity, or talent can produce lasting results. When your inner world is chaotic, your outer world mirrors that chaos. When your inner world is disciplined, focused, and intentional, success becomes inevitable. Control begins with the mind. Every action, every decision, every reaction stems from thought. People who blame circumstances, luck, or other people are surrendering control. They allow external forces to dictate their behavior. Builders, achievers, and leaders understand that mastery of self is the starting point of all achievement. The ability to remain calm under pressure, to choose action over reaction, and to persist in the face of adversity is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Emotions are the greatest thieves of energy and clarity. Anger, fear, impatience, and doubt push people into decisions they regret and actions that yield little progress. Inner control is the ability to observe your emotions without being ruled by them. It is the power to act from logic, strategy, and purpose rather than from impulse or reaction. The more you master your internal state, the less the external world can shake you. The storms around you become irrelevant because your inner foundation is immovable. Discipline is born from control. When you govern your thoughts and emotions, you govern your habits. Daily choices, repeated over time, create momentum. Self-discipline is not punishment, it is empowerment. It is the deliberate alignment of daily actions with long-term objectives. Those who cannot control themselves become slaves to desire, distraction, and opinion. Those who can control themselves harness their energy and focus it on meaningful outcomes. Every small act of self-mastery compounds into results that appear effortless to outsiders. Control also creates clarity. When your mind is disciplined and your emotions are in check, decision-making becomes precise. You no longer hesitate, waver, or second-guess yourself. You act with purpose and confidence. Others are influenced by uncertainty, chaos, and distraction. You are guided by vision, logic, and strategy. This clarity attracts opportunity, resources, and alliances. People are drawn to the calm, controlled individual because they recognize competence and reliability. Inner control is tested in adversity. Life will challenge you with setbacks, failures, criticism, and unexpected obstacles. The person who has mastered inner control does not panic, blame, or quit. They assess, adapt, and act. Their energy is preserved for solutions rather than wasted on complaints or fear. Outer success is not determined by smooth circumstances, but by the ability to navigate difficulty with composure and strategy. Your thoughts dictate your reality. Control your mind, and you control the narrative of your life. Focused, disciplined thought leads to focused, disciplined action. Scatter your attention, and your results scatter in response. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is often not talent, opportunity, or luck. It is mental mastery. People who are reactive are pulled by external forces. People who are controlled are pulled by purpose and vision. Self-respect is another product of inner control. When you act intentionally, govern your impulses, and maintain discipline, your confidence grows. You no longer seek validation from others because your standard comes from within. This self-respect becomes a magnet for success. People naturally follow, trust, and invest in those who demonstrate composure, wisdom, and authority. Outer success follows the internal foundation of credibility, consistency, and self-mastery. Focus is strengthened by control, the ability to concentrate on what matters, to ignore what does not, and to act relentlessly toward objectives is a direct result of governing the mind. Distractions, temptations, and external noise lose their power over you because your inner control dictates where energy flows. The more control you develop, the more unstoppable you become. Life is a reflection. Your outer circumstances are shaped by your internal state. Chaos inside creates chaos outside. Clarity inside creates clarity outside. Weakness inside invites failure outside. Strength inside generates results outside. Every successful person you admire has cultivated inner control before achieving their outer milestones. They learned to master themselves, to resist impulses, to focus relentlessly, and to act with purpose. If you want lasting success, begin within. Stop blaming circumstances, waiting for opportunity, or seeking approval. Strengthen your mind, discipline your habits, regulate your emotions, and act with intention. Build a foundation of inner control so unshakable that external events cannot derail you. When your inner world is strong, every step you take in the outer world carries power, precision, and inevitability. Inner control is not optional. It is the saint, starting point of all achievement. Without it, talent is wasted, effort is scattered, and results are inconsistent. With it, every challenge becomes an opportunity. Every failure becomes a lesson, and every action compounds into unstoppable progress. The world responds to those who govern themselves. Master the mind, master the habits, master the focus, master the emotions, and outer success will follow, not as a matter of chance, but as a natural consequence of inner mastery. Consistency beats motivation, because motivation is fleeting, unreliable, and often absent when it is most needed, while consistency builds results that are unstoppable over time. Motivation feels good, it gives you energy, excitement, and hope, but it is temporary, a spark that fades the moment life becomes difficult, distractions appear, or comfort tempts you to stop. Consistency, on the other hand, is a commitment, a quiet, disciplined persistence that produces results regardless of how you feel. It is the invisible force behind every achievement, the engine that turns effort into mastery and dreams into reality. Most people wait for motivation. They say, I'll start tomorrow when I feel ready, or I'll push harder when I'm inspired. This is a trap. Inspiration comes and goes. Feeling ready is rare. The people who achieve extraordinary success do not rely on mood, they rely on systems, habits, and daily action. Consistency is the bridge between intention and result. It does not wait for perfect circumstances. It does not pause for excuses. It moves forward relentlessly. Consistency compounds. Small actions repeated daily accumulate into enormous results over time. Reading 10 pages a day becomes thousands of pages in a year. Writing one paragraph a day becomes a book. Saving a small amount regularly becomes significant wealth. Training 30 minutes a day becomes strength, skill, and endurance. Motivation may start you, but only consistency carries you across the finish line. Results are not created by bursts of effort. They are created by steady, persistent action over the long term. Consistency also strengthens discipline. When you show up even when you do not feel like it, you reinforce your ability to control impulses, resist distraction, and commit to long-term goals. Discipline is the muscle that grows through repetition, and consistency is the exercise. Motivation may give you a temporary high, but consistency builds unshakable mental strength. Those who are consistent do not rely on willpower in the heat of the moment. They have trained themselves to act regardless of feelings, and that makes them unstoppable. Consistency creates trust both with yourself and with the world. When you keep your promises to yourself, your confidence grows. You learn that you are reliable, capable, and disciplined. Others notice too. People respect individuals who show up every day, who deliver results, who quietly persist while everyone else talks about their plans. Motivation may inspire words. Consistency earns respect through action. Consistency outlasts hardship. Life will challenge you, test you, and try to break your rhythm. Motivation often disappears under pressure. When you rely on feeling inspired, obstacles become excuses. But consistency does not depend on circumstances. It persists through setbacks, fatigue, and doubt. When the world is chaotic, the consistent person maintains direction and momentum. Their progress accumulates silently while the motivated person stalls, waiting for better conditions. Consistency simplifies decision-making. Motivation requires you to constantly reignite yourself, to search for reasons to act, to find emotional fuel every day. Consistency removes this need. By committing to a process, you turn action into habit. You act automatically, efficiently, and reliably. The daily grind becomes effortless because you no longer debate whether to start. You already have a system that guides you forward. Consistency also compounds skill. The repeated application of effort produces mastery. Practice done consistently creates precision, intuition, and excellence. Motivation may spark interest in learning, but it cannot replace the hours of deliberate repetition that consistency provides. Skill is earned quietly, step by step, day by day, often without recognition, until it becomes unstoppable. Those who rely on motivation are at the mercy of circumstance. Those who rely on consistency control their trajectory. Consistency is the differentiator between those who talk about potential and those who live it. Results are not made by excitement. They are made by endurance. Every champion, leader, and high achiever has a history of daily, disciplined effort, even on days when motivation was nowhere to be found. Consistency transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. A single action repeated daily may seem small, insignificant, even invisible. But over weeks, months, and years, the results are massive. Motivation cannot replicate this power. It can energize for a moment, but consistency moves mountains. It turns intentions into results, ideas into influence, and effort into achievement. If you want to change your life, stop relying on fleeting emotion. Stop waiting to feel like it. Build systems, cultivate habits, and show up daily. Do the work consistently, even when it is hard, boring, or uncomfortable. Results will follow, not because you are inspired every day, but because your effort compounds relentlessly, silently, invisibly, until it becomes undeniable. Consistency beats motivation because motivation is a spark. but consistency is fire. Motivation can start a journey, consistency carries it to the finish. Motivation may fade, consistency endures. Motivation excites, consistency transforms. Success does not depend on how you feel, it depends on what you do every day. Every small, repeated action builds the life you want. Motivation is temporary, but consistency is permanent. The world rewards those who persist, and life bends toward the disciplined, the relentless, the consistent. The world responds to results, not words, and the moment you truly understand this, your approach to life, work, and success changes forever. Talk is easy. Anyone can promise, explain, or declare intentions. Words give the illusion of effort, the false sense that you are moving forward. But results, tangible, measurable outcomes, are the only language the world respects. Words may gain attention for a moment, but results command respect, open doors, and create opportunity that lasts. Most people mistake conversation for progress. They announce goals, share plans, and argue about what they will do tomorrow, all while their actions remain minimal. Words alone do not create wealth, skill, influence, or freedom. The difference between those who achieve and those who merely dream lies not in what they say, but in what they do consistently. The world does not reward promises, it rewards execution. Results carry authority. When you produce, people listen. When you deliver, people follow. Words without results are like empty vessels. They make noise but cannot hold value. Action transforms potential into reality. It is the difference between someone admired for their intentions and someone respected for their impact. In every field, in every arena, outcomes outweigh explanations. No one remembers who spoke well. They remember who acted, who built, who delivered. Words also carry risk. They set expectations. Anyone can talk. Few are willing to act. Taking responsibility for outcomes demands discipline, resilience, and sacrifice. This is why the world favors doers over talkers. The person who produces moves forward, while the person who explains remains in place. Words may attract attention, but only results attract opportunity, influence, and lasting success. Results are measurable and undeniable. You can count them, observe them, and build upon them. Words are subjective. They are filtered through perception, opinion, and bias. Execution transforms vision into reality. It validates skill, demonstrates competence, and earns trust. The person who acts quietly but consistently accumulates credibility faster than someone who speaks loudly but acts sporadically. Results are tangible, words are temporary, results also create momentum. One completed project, one solved problem, one goal achieved triggers more opportunities. Success compounds. Action begets more action. Words, on the other hand, create conversations that often lead to distraction. Talk occupies attention without producing consequence. Those who focus on results channel energy into outcomes that multiply influence and impact, rather than dissipating it on explanation and debate. The world does not wait for permission or approval. It responds to outcomes, not intentions. Saying you are capable or talented does not matter until capability is proven. Claiming vision does not matter until progress is evident. Recognition, influence, and opportunity follow demonstration, not declaration. If you want to be taken seriously, your work must speak louder than your explanations. The louder your results, the less attention you need to draw with words. Building results requires patience and persistence. Success rarely arrives in dramatic bursts. It is the accumulation of consistent effort, repeated actions, and disciplined focus. People often underestimate the power of small, persistent steps because results take time to manifest. Words can make a person seem busy or accomplished in a moment, but consistent output produces undeniable proof over time. Results are the quiet but unstoppable force that defines achievement. Focusing on results also eliminates distractions. When you prioritize outcomes over conversation, your energy is preserved for what matters most. You stop arguing, defending, or explaining. You stop seeking approval and start producing. Life rewards those who invest effort into creation rather than consumption of attention. Energy applied to results grows exponentially. Energy wasted on words is lost forever. Finally, results create legacy. Words fade, forgotten after a conversation ends. Achievements endure, becoming proof of capability, character, and discipline. The world remembers the actions, not the promises. The person who delivers consistently builds influence, authority, and opportunity that lasts. Words may open doors briefly, but results hold them open indefinitely. If you want your life to change, stop talking about what you will do. Stop explaining your goals, defending your plans, or convincing others of your vision. Begin doing. Work silently, diligently, and with relentless focus. Let your outcomes speak on your behalf. Build skill, deliver consistently, and produce impact that cannot be ignored. The world responds to results, not words. Results create opportunity, respect, and influence. Words may entertain or persuade for a moment, but only outcomes create lasting success. Focus on action, execute relentlessly, and let your results define you. Actions are proof, results are authority, words are only noise. In the end, life rewards those who build, produce, and deliver, and nothing else. Focused individuals become unavoidable because when someone aligns their energy, attention, and actions with a single purpose, they create a force that the world cannot ignore. Focus is not casual, it is deliberate, disciplined, and relentless. While others scatter their energy across distractions, opinions, and endless activity, the focused individual channels everything toward a clear objective. This concentration of effort, repeated daily and executed without hesitation, produces results that demand attention, respect, and influence. Most people drift through life reacting to circumstances. They allow noise, criticism, and fleeting desires to dictate their actions. They chase trends, try to please everyone, and become entangled in the opinions of others. In contrast, focused individuals move with intention. Every thought, every choice, every action serves the larger goal. Their energy is concentrated, their vision sharp, and their progress unstoppable. When the world sees results compounded over time, the focused individual cannot be overlooked. Focus creates inevitability. The person who shows up consistently, who refines skill after skill, who moves methodically toward a goal, builds momentum that is difficult to stop. Obstacles may arise, distractions may appear, but focus turns every setback into an opportunity. While others hesitate, complain, or divert energy elsewhere, the focused person advances steadily. This single-mindedness transforms potential into achievement and presence into influence. Focused individuals also exude calm authority. There is a magnetic quality to someone who knows what they want and refuses to be pulled off course. They do not react to every opinion, argument, or crisis. They do not waste time explaining, defending, or